Joe, where and when were you born?
I was born in Roslyn out here in Long Island on January 23rd, 1924.
And who were your parents and what were their occupations?
My dad was in the building construction line.
What was his name?
And Nicholas was his first name. My mother, Carmela Abbondondelo, she was mostly home.
Okay. And did you have any siblings? Brothers and sisters?
I had an older sister. She's still alive. Mm-hmm. And both of my younger brothers passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry. And what was her name?
That was Anne.
Anne.
A-N-N-E.
Did any of them serve in the military also?
Yes. My one young brother, he was also the Second World War in the military, I should say the medical corps. Mm-hmm. And my youngest brother, that would have been Carmen, he was drafted during the Korean War.
So we're both in the Army?
They were both in the Army.
Uh-huh. Now, what were you doing before you entered the service?
I had just gotten out of high school.
Oh.
I was just out of high school a short while.
Were you working at all?
For a while, yes.
What did you
do? A few, mostly odd jobs, working at the golf courses, caddying, things like that.
In New York?
And then I went in. I was in this area.
Oh.
And then I went into the Air Force.
Now, did you enlist or were you drafted?
Well, I enlisted. I just beat the draft.
Oh, you wanted to enlist. You wanted to enlist.
I wanted to get into the Air Force anyway.
Now, why did you pick the Air Force?
Oh, I don't know. I had pretty much of an interest in flying.
Oh.
More or less. And
So, when you departed for training camp, had you flown a plane before?
Before that, no.
No. What happened when you departed for training camp and during early days of training?
How do you mean?
Well, what did you learn, and what did they train you to do?
Oh, well, I trained to be a flight engineer, actually, so I went to the school to learn aircraft mechanics.
Is that for
the systems of the aircraft?
Uh-huh.
Then from there I went to a gunnery school.
Oh.
And then after that, that was down in Florida, a gunnery school. Mm-hmm. And then from there I went to Langley Field, Virginia for overseas training.
Okay. So did you also learn how to fly the planes? Or
No, I was a gunner.
Gunner, which means what? What's that?
Well, we had to man the guns. We had to learn how to shoot the guns.
From the plane?
From the plane, oh yes.
Oh. Do you recall your instructors?
What?
Do you recall your instructors for basic training? The teachers. What were they like?
Well, military, really.
Strict?
Strict, pretty strict, yes. Yeah.
Nice?
You had to be.
Yeah. Do you remember them at all?
Vaguely.
Now, tell me a little about your specialized training for the aircraft and the gunnery and all that. Well, how did they train you?
Well, we had to know this. In my case, we had to know the systems of the planes, mechanically, especially.
What kind of planes?
Oh, well, that was a B-24 Liberator.
Okay. And what was its task? That was like a bombing plane?
It was a heavy bomber. It was the largest bomber at that time.
Wow. How many military people were on the plane?
It was a crew of 10.
10. Now, you didn't sleep on the plane.
No.
Now, how did you adapt to military life? The physical regimen, the food, the barracks, and social life. Where were you stationed, first of all?
Well, as for training as the aircraft mechanic, that was over in North Carolina, a place called Seymour Johnson Air Base.
Okay, and how long were you there?
And I was there about 4 months.
For the training?
Yeah, then I went down for about 2 months to train to fire the guns. That was down in Fort Myers, Florida.
Uh-huh. And then?
And then overseas training we took in Langley Field, Virginia, for 2 months before we went overseas.
And how did you get overseas?
We flew our own bomber over.
You did?
Yeah.
Where did it, was it stationed in one particular place usually?
Yeah, yes. We were basically, I was with the 15th Air Force, and that was in southern Italy.
Southern Italy.
That's it.
And when you weren't flying in the plane, where were the barracks?
We slept in tents. That was in the area.
Oh,
Yeah.
tents.
Oh, yes.
How many people to a tent?
We had about maybe 6 people altogether, yeah.
And how many people were on the whole base usually?
For the whole base? Oh, well, on the average, normally we had about 4 squadrons. Usually it was about seven bombers to a squadron. So that made up close to around, give or take, 30 bombers to a squadron.
Wow. And they all lived on that one base?
Yeah. And then we were all in the same area. Then there were other squadrons in that area that flew. So we had 4 different squadrons. So when you with 10 with 10 people to a crew and all that. I'm sorry, I have to figure that out.
No, that's fine. Yeah, so it's a lot of people.
Yes, oh yes.
Wow. How was the food?
Well, under the conditions, as could be expected.
Did you have time for social activities?
Well, sometimes we went on leave. We went to some of the local villages.
Do you remember the town you were near when you were?
There was a small town called Cerignola in Italy. Originally, where our base was, there was a huge cellar. Evidently, it was a wine cellar.
Oh.
So evidently, they must have made wine in that area.
I see. Is your family originally from Italy?
Yes.
Oh, had you ever been over before?
No.
Were your parents born there?
My parents were born there, yeah.
In what, do you know what town?
Well, my father was born in a town called Abbondondelo, which is not too far from Rome. My brother was born near a town called Naples.
Naples, sure.
Which is a little further south.
Yep. Now, when you were there, stationed there, did you still have relatives there?
No.
No.
I didn't get to see them.
No. But there were some that
They
lived.
were still in the area, but
You didn't see them.
well, where our base was, we were on the other side of this, on the other side of the country.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it was sort of out of the way. Yeah. Okay.
Now, what are some memories of your experience abroad there, of serving?
Well, flying the missions was pretty difficult fighting the Germans, I have to say.
Did you go up every day?
And you didn't go up every day, but I flew some 40 missions against them, and I must say, and to this day, Germany put up a good fight. They were well trained.
Really?
Yes, and well equipped. If I do say so.
Now, so you were pretty much near the front lines.
Oh yeah, well, we had to go well into enemy territory.
Wow.
And with our bombers, we'd be in the air for 8 hours at a time. 4 hours to get to the target, and then 4 hours coming back.
Wow.
So.
Was it pretty much, so you were stationed in Italy, but you pretty much flew to Germany?
Oh yeah, we bombed Germany, Austria, the Balkan country, Romania, all the oil refineries in Romania, and some of the other Balkan countries. Italy, where the we were still fighting the Germans in Italy.
Right.
So we were bombing targets in that area also.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of things do you remember seeing when you could you see the land when you were?
No, we were usually some 5 miles in the air.
So you couldn't
5 miles up. Everything was very small. Everything's whatever you saw on the ground was very small. You couldn't really make out anything.
So how did you know where to aim the guns?
The guns. Well, when the fighters were coming after us, they were shooting at us. We had to shoot back.
The planes.
The fighter planes would. Yes, they would be making passes at us. They would be attacking us, and then we had to shoot back to try to keep them away or get them out of
Were you in control of any of the bombs that were being dropped?
No, that was a bombardier's job.
Oh, he was on your plane,
And
though.
we were on the same plane, yes.
Same plane.
Yeah, you had the bombardiers, you had the pilot, co-pilot, navigator, gunners, and
Was your plane ever hit?
yes.
What happened?
What happened? It was on fire. We had a parachute.
Where did you parachute into?
We were bombing an oil refinery near Vienna, Austria, and I was wounded in my left arm, and I took shrapnel in my head.
Wow.
By the time I got back, they did hospitalize me for a while, and then from there I went to prison war camp.
Prison war camp?
Oh, I was in yes.
You were a POW?
I was captured right after D-Day. We were bombing that oil refinery right after D-Day.
You were captured?
Yeah, yes, oh yes.
What country were you in then?
That was in Austria, not far from Vienna. That was an oil refinery we were bombing.
So then the camp...
And they shot me with some 28 planes we went off with that morning. Germans shot down 12 of us.
Wow.
12 bombers they shot down.
Did everybody make it out?
No, some were killed. I mean, some were wounded, killed, or whatever. Then some survived, spend the rest of the war in a prisoner of war camp.
How long were you in the prison war camp?
I was 9 months myself.
Wow. Now, how did you get out?
They sent us to a camp called Stalag 4. That was in northern Poland, just not far out of Germany, up by the Baltic Sea. This was during the winter, and we had to deal with the snow and the cold, the very poor diet. I mean, they didn't feed us that well, and we had left during the Russian offensive. The Russians liberated our camp actually, but the Germans got us out of there. They took us out of there and took us to the west to get to the Americans and British instead of waiting for the Russians to come in.
Oh.
And the war was nearing the end anyway.
Oh.
So that's when they let us go.
So some of your comrades from the plane were with you. How many were with you in this camp?
There was none of them. They were in the same camp, but they had us in different compounds. They kept us separate.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Do you know?
I have no idea. I really don't.
So it was the Austrians it was their camp?
Well, in Austria, that was the target we were bombed.
Yes.
Now the prison camp was up in northern Poland.
Oh, I saw.
By the Baltic Sea.
Right. Okay.
And
how did you sleep?
Huh?
They had barracks?
No blankets on the floor.
But it was cold.
It was. You're telling me it was cold.
Wow.
So cold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know how big a camp was that?
I would say there was about 10,000 prisoners altogether between Americans and British.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was
to this day, I don't know how we survived that.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Wow.
We somehow or another, I don't know. Maybe we were being younger, or who knows.
So you were about 18, 19 years old when that happened?
I just turned 20. I just went on. I just made 20.
Were they able